mention ever.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the first full trailer for Peacemaker Season 2. Guys, there is a lot to talk about here, so let's get rolling. So James Gunn introduces this trailer, and it's funny how he's become kind of the face of this franchise and not Superman. It's very reminiscent of when Walt Disney would introduce various films and processes to kids on these newsreels. The opening to Creature Commandos brags that this is a James Gunn project, and even features an animated version of him. He's also been the fan ambassador for the franchise on all of these podcasts, but not on our podcast yet. We did just have Arrowverse producer Mark Guggenheim and Sinners producer Sev Ohanian on our Crossover Universe podcast. Links for that are below.
Wait, are the Justice League going to be in this season after they were in the ending of season 1?
No, even though the Justice League cameoed in the season 1 finale, this show is no longer set in the same universe as the Justice League.
How do you say right now?
So this show is set in the new DC universe of movies and TV shows. Some of the previous stories, like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker Season 1, are mostly canon to this universe. For instance, everything in Peacemaker 1 technically happened in this universe except for that Justice League cameo.
I wanted to see the Flash again. Jeez.
So this show is a direct continuation of Superman, continuing the story of Rick Flag from that movie. And James Gunn has also promised more Superman cameos will be in this show. So a little later in the video, we have some theories on who is going to appear. Now, season 1 of Peacemaker picked up right after James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, showing what happened to John Cena's Chris Smith, aka Peacemaker, after the battle against Starro and Corto Maltese. In that movie, Amanda Waller ordered Chris to preserve the secrecy of the lab, so he killed their commanding officer, Rick Flag Jr.
Peacemaker. What a joke.
Season 1 of this show shows him dealing with that guilt, and Walker recruiting Chris to help a team stop an alien invasion. Now, the team was a bunch of losers, outcasts, and misfits, so of course, it's a James Gunn joint. They all gelled together and nicknamed themselves the 11th Street Kids, and together they stopped the alien invasion. So in the trailer, we pick up on the 11th Street Kids having a rooftop picnic. Vigilante tries to toss John Economos a beer, and remember, Economos also appeared in James Gunn's Creature Commandos. Then he was using crutches after hurting his ankle in the Peacemaker finale.
What happened to your leg?
Well, I was fighting off an alien invasion.
Fine, don't tell me.
The song in the trailer is Road to Nowhere by Ozzy Osbourne, R.I.P. The song choice is appropriate because, as the trailer shows us, Chris is on a road to nowhere. His life is directionless, he's a joke, and he decides to take a road into another dimension. His arc this season is learning that the fame, money, and acceptance on the other side of the portal isn't going to make him feel whole. Only his friends can do that. And guys, I am so excited to show you these new shirts that we just launched for our merch store. Now, we made these special for the movies that are coming out this month. First, check out the July 2025 shirt showing two rockets passing each other, the Fantastic Four and Kal-Els. And then we have Brian from Family Guy as Crypto, who's a good boy. And for the Fantastic Four, we have this parody of them on Abbey Road, but hey, where's Sue Storm at? And then we have the Fantastic Four as the Jetsons, celebrating the retro future aesthetic of the film, as well as Clobber in Time, Flame On, and this image of The Thing as John Carpenter's The Thing. And if you become a member, you can earn rewards and get free stuff. I just want to thank you guys so much for your support, and the links for those are below. Now, in the last trailer, we saw Peacemaker audition to join the Justice Gang that, of course, we saw in Superman. So I think that this rejection is what's going to spur him on for the rest of the season. Like he says,
I don't want to be a joke anymore.
we see him riding the bike of an alternate Chris with a special motorcycle helmet. Now, we know this bike belongs to the other dimension Peacemaker because Chris gets it out of the garage at this mansion.
Wait, there's 2 dimensions? Is this a multiverse again?
Sure is, buddy. And look, I know a lot of you guys are tired of Marvel's multiverse saga, but DC actually did the multiverse first back in the 1950s with a story called The Flash of Two Worlds. And I don't know if you followed the Arrowverse series shows on CW, but they did the multiverse very, very well in giant crossovers like Crisis on Infinite Earths. At Comic-Con, James Gunn said that there are at least 100 different universes. So for instance, the DCEU is one, so is the Batman's universe, the Joker's, and remember in The Flash, we even saw a few other universes from past movies and franchises. But I think that, unlike Marvel, the multiverse is being used here to tell a particular character-driven story. The ultimate question of the multiverse is, well, what would have happened if things in my life would have happened differently? Who would I be in another reality? And Chris is about to find out. In his own universe, he feels silly.
You wear a clown costume and go out and beat up people.
But in the other universe, he's a super famous hero. And then we see him palling around with Eagly. And by the way, this sound is not the real sound an eagle makes. The villain this season is Rick Flag Sr., father of the man that Peacemaker killed in Suicide Squad. He was also the mission leader in Creature Commandos, and we also see him leading Argus in the movie Superman. In that movie, he was always advocating for trusting Superman and the other metahumans, until the end of the film when the Justice Gang invades Baravia, and the Secretary tells him, well, I hope you're happy, the metahumans are in charge now. So this season, he is striking back. He wants to take down his son's murderer and curb the power the metahumans have over the world. The file on Junior mentions Cordo Maltese and the Jotunheim facility where the climax took place, and we see Chris still reeling with guilt. Now in season 1, he suffered PTSD from this mission because killing Flag reminded him of when his own father forced him to kill his own brother in a boy fight. But now, instead of dealing with that trauma, he's going to escape into a reality where none of that ever happened. Here we see Tim Meadows joining the cast as an Argus agent, and then we see them reading the portal activating. Now remember, in season 1, we saw this folding space. And we also get a tease that Chris's crush on Hardcore is turning into something else.
He's in love with you. Me and Chris, it's never gonna be a thing.
Wait, who's Hardcore?
So Hardcore is played by Jennifer Holland, who of course is married to James Gunn, and she was great in season 1. Chris's best friend in season 1 was Amanda Waller's daughter, Leota. She is the one who drives Chris to his Justice Gang audition we saw in the first trailer and gives him a pep talk after it goes south.
You belong here with us.
Now, in this other universe, Chris is rich. We saw his mansion in the first trailer where the two Chris's encountered themselves. And I wonder if the reason our Chris is covered in blood is because he murdered his other self and took his place. Now, look at this mural. We see a portrait of Peacemaker, his father, the White Dragon, and another superhero. So in this universe, I think his brother never died. He is also a superhero, and they both get along great with their dad. Now, in season 1, his dad was a supervillain called the White Dragon, and he led a group of clan members to attack Chris.
Oh wait, so what does that mean for this other universe?
Well, maybe that means that this universe is like a fascist government ruled by the White Dragon. Maybe in this universe, Chris is also an evil racist. Or maybe in this other universe, everything is perfect and his dad is just a really nice, rich guy. There's also an Argus in this other universe that's different. Notice how the last 3 letters are a group of United States, but in the DCU, Argus stands for Advanced Research Group United Support. And this universe's Hardcore appears to be in love with this version of Chris. But as he'll discover, I think, in this season, this is not his Hardcore. James Gunn taught a similar lesson to Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 when he had to finally cope with Gamora's death and realized the version of her from an alternate reality was not really the Gamora. So while Chris is a friend to this other Argus, our Argus is hunting him down, with agents storming this cabin and probably tracing a signal from his helmet. And I think that because this is the same concussive force we saw from his helmet in season 1, so I think he's leading them into a trap. So Argus wants to shut the dimensional gateway down. After all, who wants this scary spider dimension to have access to your world? Now, I think that Chris will initially distrust Argus because after all, they're trying to hunt him down and arrest him. But eventually, his team is going to have to work with Argus to stem some kind of multiversal threat.
Well, what multiversal threat?
Well, if I had to guess, I would say the dimension where the clan leader is a superhero is a universe that you can't trust. Maybe they're going to want to invade the DCU. Or maybe the answer is more science-y. The gateway is unstable and it's going to tear a fabric in the universe like we saw in Superman. Also remember, in Superman, Lex discovered a kind of space between universes. So this could explain why Argus wants to close the rift. They don't want another split to happen like what they saw in Metropolis. John Economos is forced to partner with Judo Master, who worked for the aliens in season 1, and notice he still loves Cheetos.
Dangerously cheesy.
And then we get a ton of action shots in the final part of this trailer. We see Peacemaker, his dad, and his brother all flying with jetpacks alongside Eagly. Then we see this billboard for the Mighty Crabjoys, one of Clark Kent's favorite bands from his teenage years. Chris, in his fancy other universe shirt, escapes into another building. Judo Master fights Chris in the woods. Chris gets kidnapped outside of a house, probably by Argus agents, and this leads to Hardcore vowing,
We're gonna get Chris back.
and then we see Flag beating somebody in captivity who is probably Chris. And then we see what I think is somebody with a jetpack blowing up a helicopter. Then Peacemaker saves Hardcore as they're ejected from the alternate universe Argus. And then Chris fights himself in a dimensional gateway room.
Wait, what's a dimensional gateway room?
So this is what we saw in season 1, where Chris's dad had folding space inside of his house that led to a dimensional gateway where he stored all of Peacemaker's gear. See, I think that Chris's gateway only leads to this one other perfect dimension, but that perfect dimension has its own gateway that leads to lots of dimensions. It could even be that they're going to use these other dimensions and folding space to reconcile the differences between these two versions of Peacemaker. Maybe at the end of the show, John Cena does go into a universe that's almost exactly like his, except they didn't have that Justice League cameo at the end of season 1. Now, as pumped as I am for this season, I mean, I love season 1, I am also wondering what other cameos we're going to see. The first trailer showed us Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Max Lord. So the other Justice Gang member, Metamorpho, could also be in this show. But frankly, that is an expensive visual effect for HBO Max, so I think we're likely to see a human member of the cast. Nicholas Hoult was the highest paid cast member of that movie at $2 million, so I doubt if it's going to be him. Although we have talked about in the past where we'll see him next.
Oh, where?
Well, Amanda Waller is supposed to have a spin-off show, and she was running the Creature Commandos out of Belle Reve Prison. And in Superman, they make a specific point to loudly announce the prison that Lex is going to is Belle Reve. So it would make sense if Lex Luthor is then recruited to create weapons for Amanda Waller. I mean, Waller could also show up in this show. She was in season 1, and Adebayo is her daughter.
Of a woman named Amanda Waller, who happens to be my mother.
But after she snitched on her mom in season 1, I doubt if they're speaking. I think it's more likely we'll see cameos of the Daily Planet staff. For instance, it's rumored that Jimmy Olsen is going to have a spin-off show, but it's going to be an in-universe crime anthology series hosted by Jimmy. So we could also see an excerpt from that series. And I also wouldn't be surprised if the events of this season were covered by a reporter like Lois Lane. Michael Ian Black could also return as the Sphere news anchor that interviewed Chris in the movie. Frankly, the #1 cameo that I want is Mr. Terrific. He doesn't even need to be doing big special effects stuff. He can just be advising Argus because goddamn Mr. Terrific. But I think if they're going to be bringing the multiverse into this, then maybe they should have fun with cameos in the other world. Maybe Lex Luthor is a super smart, nice guy. Maybe Amanda Waller is just a short order cook. Or maybe we can get cameos from other actors like Grant Gustin's Flash. And remember, the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover also brought together the movie and TV universes, and it was great.
You might be the key to saving the multiverse.
It's actually one of the least insane things I've ever heard.
So, what cameos would you like to see in Peacemaker Season 2? Are you excited for Peacemaker Season 2? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, or at me on Twitter, Blue Sky Threads, or on our free-to-join Discord server. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.